All right, top of the evening to everyone. Thank you so much for joining me on this edition of State of the State on this channel. I am Sunday Kolawole. Today we'll be looking at the state of affairs in the Nigerian state, and we will be looking at a variety of issues. And I'm being joined by a social commentator, Kayode Oladipupo. Thank you so much for joining us on the program via the telephone.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be with you.
Well, I do understand the difficulty and the logistic challenge, especially because of the rain that hindered you from coming into the studio. But we will make do with the technological platform that we could use at this point to engage on this topic. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you.
Now, the elders say that charity begins at home. Let's start from Ondo State. In the last few months, especially since the year began, would you say that Ondo State has been on the pedestal of good governance under the leadership of Dr. Lucky Orimisa? What is your commentary on the state of affairs in Ondo State?
Well, honestly speaking, some will argue that it's too early. But then, 100 days in the life of any administration is not small. Only God knows why the governor took so long a time to constitute his cabinet, which is very critical to the operation of the government. And it is yet to be seen clearly what his goal and aspirations are. What is it exactly, aside from the electioneering, his plan to move Ondo State forward? There is need for us to have a clear-cut picture of what his intentions are. Where was Ondo State before he came in? What does he intend to do? And what are the prospects? What are the challenges? Where is the team that is going to work with? We are yet to see all those. And if there's anything at all, a lot of inactivities are there in virtually all the ministries.
Are you aware, Mr. Oladipupo, are you aware that the governor has sent names of nominees to the House of Assembly? Are you aware that these have been cleared and then they await inauguration as members of the cabinet?
Very much aware of that. I'm talking about why it takes this long.
Oh, okay.
Because even as we speak, they are yet to be sworn in. And I'm saying that in virtually all the ministries, there is high level of inactivity.
Okay. So you expect more from the idea to administration. That's what you're trying to talk about now.
I believe that when he considers his cabinet, it will fast track things. Things should not go at this pace.
All right. Now beyond that, recently, still talking about Ondo State, a lot of furore happened, especially in the religious cultural interception, and one of the biggest issues there is the demolition of the Memorial Park in Owo. Very many issues have happened, then those issues have not been put to rest, and now we are hearing that there are lots of other questions coming up, especially to interrogate what led to what and how. Isn't it high time the issues are laid to rest, just with the way and manner the governor had met with religious leaders on the matter? What do you think?
Well, again, that is a very low one on the part of the administration of the state, particularly when the present administration is just an offshoot of the last administration that put those things in place in the first place. Question that a lot of people are asking is this: is it that it was never discussed? Was it that the community never made any input? Was the religious organization not carried along? How was the structure put in place? Then why a sudden hostility against it? Why is it now an offense for it to be there in the first place? A lot of questions people are asking. But one thing I think the government should move away from is that the government should be seen as not being personalized.
Okay.
There should be continuity in government. Ondo State government is supposed to be Ondo State government, whether it is 20 years ago or 30 years ago.
Okay.
Okay, and then before government carry out any meaningful thing or any party thing that has a touch of culture and faith, it should be thoroughly investigated. Okay, the truth is that you don't just do things that affect the faith of people without expecting the backlash.
Okay.
The same thing go with the culture. So in most of the time, it is better a lot of interface take place between the government and the faith group or the traditional based group,
okay,
so as to know exactly what work for them and what work for all.
Okay.
Having said that, I think the whole thing look very untidy. If again, assuming that the mistake was made by not consulting people, the relevant faith-based and cultural group before the epitaph was erected, what about the demolition?
Okay.
Okay. Is it too much to also call a meeting of the people and explain to them why it cannot stand any longer? Why should people just behave as if we are in a military era where you can just do anything and get away with it? Okay, that I think is not speaking well for the government. We expect something more decent and more and far better.
Do you think the government shouldn't have heeded the call of the community if the community has said that they were the one that demanded and requested that?
Yeah, I know that very well, and that is in order. But what I'm saying is that there is supposed to have been a community meeting.
Oh, okay. You're talking about community engagement before the action.
Engagement before the demolition.
All right. Thank you very much. I think we should not move ahead.
Sorry, because that was actually later done after the demolition and after the brouhaha, and which had really diminished the image of the state. But it's like we are putting the cart before the horse.
Okay.
I believe that in democracy there should be inclusiveness.
Okay.
Okay. If what was done 2-3 days ago had been done earlier before the demolition, it would have been a top up.
All right, your point is well made, and I'm sure that government officials are also listening, and then they're taking the cue from your suggestion. Thank you very much. Now let's move to some national issues. Well, I think the major issue that will be taking preoccupation at the center stage of this conversation would be the recently formed coalition towards the 2027 general elections. For you, is it timely or ill-timed?
Well, yes, there is need for us to have a very strong opposition.
Okay.
Let me start with that. I am for a strong opposition. I would like to see the kind of what transpired in the Second Republic when every government action is challenged by UPN that was leading opposition at the time.
Okay.
Some of the things that UPN put as alternative structure or being suggestions are still valid today. But it is a different thing entirely when some people just come together, what I call a coalition without collusion, okay, that may lead to disaster. The truth is that it seems as if the desire to get rid of an individual is much more than putting an alternative government in place. And I think the purpose of opposition is to have alternative government, not to fight individual. Because it seems as if we have only one political party and there is internal struggle. And what that matters is that let us end this one out so that we can put another in place. That doesn't change anything. What Nigeria would like to see is that ABC are not working well, and it seems as if the president has no claim to it. We are coming to offer XYZ that will counter that and bring and improve the livelihood of Nigerians. But the way things are going, it is very sorry. The other day we saw at the coming up of ADA that wrongly addressed INEC. A sign of ill-preparedness. Today, this evening, I read where Ati, I think that's what they call it, the vice presidential candidate to be Ahmed Dati,
okay,
was saying that raising the concern that there is no cohesion, no unity among the rank and file of the coalition. And as if that was not enough, I quickly saw what El-Rufai was quoted as saying, that they are also putting in place another party in case ADC will not work. Where are we going from here? So you just a bunch of unprepared individuals that I think are hungry for power.
How do you think they're not prepared? If an election of 2027, they're coming up with preparation towards that election, and you think that a group of unprepared individuals, in your words?
Sir, registration of an organization is a serious matter.
Okay.
In any climb. And if you don't even know the correct address of the agency that will register you, there's something is wrong.
Yeah, okay.
Very, very wrong. If you acquire a party, and there's nothing wrong in acquiring a party, but if you acquire ADC, for instance, without having interface with the stakeholder, major stakeholders, you only meet with one person, and the person says, okay, we are giving it to you, only for another set for people to come out and say, no, we never had any discussion along that line, and we are not even in the knowing. It shows that we have not done any thorough work. Knowing fully well that, okay, again, how do you also come to a party, an existing party, that has submitted its constitution, its composition to INEC, that has a constitution, and say, okay, without consulting INEC, without a convention of the party, you say you dissolve the ESCO and you replace it with Act 1. These are legal issues that will not make the party to stand in the first place, and that will crumble the coalition. And that is why I'm not surprised when El-Rufai was saying that they are considering another party. Because as far as ADC is concerned, it can't stand. And that shows sign of unpreparedness. Because you want to know what are the challenges in ADC? How can these challenges be addressed? Should we just jump in? If you are buying, in quotes, if you are buying them over, you buy them totally and completely, and then acquire the party. But as it is, the whole thing looks so untidy.
So with your assertion now, what do you think will then be the fate of this adopted political platform, the ADC? How will that party be able to actualize and impact its own programs that it has? Because in any case, it has its own aspirations of formation towards that election. So how will the ADC be able to weather the storm and also get to actualize its own goals?
The element in coalition movement should take time off and perhaps go for a retreat. And I'm talking seriously as in Nigeria who desire that you have a viable opposition party. They should go for maybe 3 days retreat and really have hard talk with each other and answer basic question. What do we really want? How do we go about it? What is ADC? We are going to adopt ADC. What are their manifesto? What is their constitution? Is it in line with what we want? Do we submit ourselves to their constitution, or we, like I do in parentheses, do we buy this party over? But if we have to buy it over, what will be the legal implication? Because no matter how much you throw to ADC members, you will still have INEC to contend with. Okay, so these are challenges that have not been addressed. In any case, this is not the first time ADC will be used as a vehicle for election. It happened in 2017, if I'm not making a mistake. Is it 2018? Okay, when it was also used like this, but later abandoned. The reality is that we have seen people using party before. Mimiko used Labour Party in Ondo State, but he did it with sense. He submitted himself totally to Labour Party without altering their constitution. Okay, and that made it easy for him to be able to run smoothly without any hic. But this one is so untidy, and to me, it baffles me that we have so many figures like Abubakar, Atiku, and all the rest of it. Even the highly celebrated El-Rufai that is reputed to be very brilliant. How can they be in a party and things we be like that? I'm not surprised with jokers like Amici, because when you talk too much, you don't think. So, but I'm talking about serious-minded people. I'm not also surprised with Obi, because when you never have time to reason, you always make mistake. But how can Atiku for people? How can not deliberately, but the short man from Kaduna be in an association that we will not be able to gather itself together?
So what exactly would you have loved to see as roles to be played by these people you've called towering figures like David Mag, Atiku Abubakar, Peter Obi, Nasir El-Rufai, and so on? What roles would you have expected them to play in the formation of the coalition?
I would have expected them to do a lot of planning and coming up with strategy that works. I would have expected them to look into history. How was APC formed, for instance? Why is it that PPA didn't work in Second Republic? What are the factors that led to the collapse? What brought about Operation Wettier in 1965, when there was an alliance of this kind? We have a lot from history to learn from. One would have expected to look into those things. Okay, what can we do differently? Okay, Ghana has just come up with an election that was won on the strength of coalition. Couldn't they go to Ghana and also spy at their book and learn one or two lessons from them? Because if you cannot organize a party that is being positioned to challenge a ruling party, then what hope, even if you win the election, that you'll be able to govern the country well? These are serious issues. Okay. And it's not too late, honestly speaking, it's not too late for them to make amends. Maybe they should stop all the noise or allow their boys to continue to make noise on social media, where they beat a retreat. Maybe in another 2 weeks or so, they can come up with something. We still have enough time.
All right, the All Progressives Congress, APC, was formed in a style that could have also go for something we could call coalition. The coming together of the CPC, the ACN, and all of that at that point in time. Now, ADC is coming up as a platform, not forming a new party entirely. What do you think should be done to really look at the issue of unity? Because it's said generally that a house divided against itself cannot stand. So how would they be able to come together in united front to prosecute the forthcoming election in 2027 in such a way that they will be able to provide the viable alternative that Nigeria needs?
The remarkable difference between what is happening now in ADC and what happened prior to the formation of APC in 2013 are not exactly the same. One, APC was a merger. This is a coalition, and they are not the same. In the APC, you have parties coming together, dissolving themselves into a new party. And one thing that really worked for them is that they seem to have a direction and purpose. There were not as many ambition-driven people as we have now. In fact, the principal people in that merger were able to trade off their own personal ambition in favor of having their party coming out strong and win election. As I speak with you, Obi is still cocksure that he will be the one to nominate, and if they don't nominate him, he will beat a retreat. Atiku is doing all these things for himself. Amechi is scheming to become president. So, ambition is what is threatening the unity, and that's why people cannot see that. For instance, Amechi wants a brand new party, which is a sound reasoning. In any case,
okay.
but the others did not trust him. Did not trust him, and that's why they refuse to consider his committee's recommendations. Okay, Obi is not even decided whether to join or not to join. It's one leg in, one leg out. But so if they really want to move forward, they should bury their individual ambitions.
Okay.
There should be a meaningful trade-off and self-sacrifice. If it is Atiku they want to support, let others drop their ambitions. If it is Obi, let others drop their ambitions. If it is somebody else, let others drop their ambition. But I'm afraid if they are ready or willing to do that. In case of Atiku, he sees this as his last chance. He's 78 or 78 already, going to 79. Okay, by 2027, he's already over 80. He will be 81. So he's under pressure that he may not be able to come back in 2031 to be asking for votes, even if Obi kept to his promise, which never, of not spending for more than one time.
Okay, you do not believe him?
Will he even believe him? These are questions and challenges that are there. Okay, even if he believes him, will geographical political arrangement in Nigeria favor that?
Okay.
These are challenges here and there, and that is why they need to come out clean. What exactly do they want? In all of this, none is addressing Nigeria question. None is addressing the exchange rates. None is addressing the subsidy removal. None is addressing food production. None is addressing insecurity in the land. So where do we stand as a people?
Okay, now,
for instance, are they going to cancel a student loan? Okay, are they going to, if they withdraw subsidy for instance and we cancel subsidy, how will the state be able to pay salaries? At least they can pay that now, unlike before, when they were even paying on percentage basis and owing salary up to 6-9 months. Are we going back? Are they going to take us back to that one? For the past 2 years now, school has remained stable. Are they going to reverse that and students will no longer know when they will graduate? Or they will continue? And if they are going to continue, what are they going to do differently from what this present government is doing? Those are the kind of conversations we should be having. And not we must get rid of him. I have enough clout to win election. It is me that can win election.
All right, Mr. Ladipo, just before we leave the issue of coalition, one other conversation that's been on the lips of many is as to whether the APC should be worried that the coalition is actually in the offing, or the APC should get its house better in order to be able to confront any challenge or any confrontation that might be coming from a possible coalition, if indeed it has come to stay. Someone said that the APC should not look at its reward system so as to be able to counter the formation of coalition. What do you think?
If you want peace, we prepare for war. If APC hope to return in 2027, they should take this coalition, whether it is standing well or not, very serious. But I think it is a plus for APC because for once they see the possibility that some group of people can edge them out, and they came out too early enough to play to the hand of the ruling party. Any ruling party will have just been too glad at the time they come.
Okay.
Why? Because whatever you are saying now, APC still has 2 years of governance. And if they know what they are doing, it's more than enough to do things that we recommend them to people. And that is why you even need to work harder as an opposition party to be serious. But talking seriously, APC needs to go back and come up with two teams, if I may say.
Okay, what are those two things?
They should come up with two teams. One that will recommend and help to implement a 70% concentration on policy implementation and governance.
Okay.
And 25% of very strong campaign managers, and do the two side by side so that at least they can keep abreast of the opposition. But the most important thing, what they need most now is good governance.
Good governance.
Yes.
Okay.
That is what they should focus on now. 70% of the time to be devoted to good governance.
Okay. Thank you very much for those recommendations. Of course, we've had conversations surrounding what the coalition should do if it's really going to be serious, and what should the ruling party do if it's also going to be going into that election with all sense of seriousness. Let's move to other issues. Recently, the imbroglio, the political umpires in Rivers State seem to be laid to rest with the reconciliation that was brokered by the incumbent president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and then public outings together between the two arrowheads of the Rivers State conflict, talking about the minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, and the suspended governor, Smith Barra. Is this a disquiet that cannot, is this a solution that cannot last, or a solution that will be permanent in the Rivers State political debacle?
Well, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you are looking at it, I think it is a win-lose for Fubara.
A win-lose, you say?
Yes.
How do you mean?
For Fubara. A loss in the sense that he had to eat the humble pie because he has been grossly let down by the people who urged him on to rebel against his boss. Okay, it is still painful, and I can't understand how people can abandon somebody midstream as they did to him. Two, for him to accept to rebel against his boss and then find himself stranded and have no option than to go and beg to be readmitted to the fold. Because as it is now, it depends largely on the goodwill of Wike. And one can only pray that Wike is sensible enough not to play God. Because he too narrowly escaped shame. So I expect the two of them to see whatever happen now as an act of God, act of mercy.
Okay.
And behave themselves and focus on governance. Okay, and see how they can go back to the way they were before. Though that trust once broken is always difficult to put back in place. Okay, but if with large art, a lot could be done. The federal government is doing a lot to help. One, they save Fubara from being impeached. Okay, which to my mind was a great strategy. Two, to remove any problem between Fubara and the legislator again. Most of the critical legislative issues are being handled right now by the National Assembly.
Okay.
Okay, so I believe by the time Fubara return, there will be little or no area of friction, and that will allow the wound to heal faster.
Okay.
So I think that is good on the part of the federal government, but a lot depends on Fubara as a man. I think he needs to work extra hard in the less than 2 years he has left to convince not only his boss but the river people that is worthy of re-election. Because as I'm also speaking, there are some people in River that are not also happy with him that he reconciled with his boss. No, that is the best thing for him to do, but he needs to be able to do something that will silence every opposition and show that he's a serious-minded individual. Otherwise, we are back to square one.
Now, what's your commentary on the journey so far in the hands of the sole administrator in Rivers State? Now, the National Assembly is calling him to come and defend the allocation to some critical issues in the budgetary analysis. Do you think Rivers State is really in the right state it should be, especially in the face of this emergency rule?
The emergency rule itself is, by what it connotes, means something that is unexpected. Okay, for lack of appropriate word to use, an abnormality, and in an abnormal situation, you don't expect things to work perfectly. Budget is a serious issue, far beyond what a person who never prepared for governance will just come from nowhere can do. And in any case, even if he's elected, the process that is involved in budget preparation give room for clever people in government, particularly the civil servants, to inject things that, if you are not careful, may even embarrass you. Because in most cases, our budget preparation is not dynamic and it's not scientific.
Okay.
So, and that give room for people who want to manipulate to have room to do so. So I'm not surprised, and that is why I think it's good that it's taken to National Assembly, because imagine that it is the Matawali, what they call it, the speaker, okay, and his group, the group of 27 that detected church an error and called Fubara. It may lead to worsening the situation between them.
Okay.
So I think that is why it is even better that it is National Assembly that is handling it, and the National Assembly is expected to do better, because the truth is that they have little or nothing to benefit from the arrangement.
Okay. Now, just final words on the conversation tonight. What should be the preoccupation in the minds of Nigerians, especially at a time like this when focus should be on governance? You call it good governance the other time. And we now find so much energy going into preparation for 2027, even when we still have 2026 there.
Unfortunately, the opposition was too quick to come out and ignite politically. But the really party should be courteous. If they fail to focus more attention on governance, good governance, not just governance, then they will be played into the hand of the opposition. So it may be a good thing for Nigeria that it started earlier, because that may put pressure on the federal government to work harder. Okay. But if they get carried away with political happenings, we will suffer. Opposition will also suffer if they eventually take over government. But that it will be a sad note for Nigeria. So all of us should put more pressure on government to focus on governance.
Everyone should put pressure on government to focus on governance. I think that's the way to go. Especially in this conversation. I have to thank you very much, Mr. Kayode Oladipupo, for your time on the Outlook State of the State tonight. Thank you for sparing your time with me.
Thank you for the privilege. God bless you.
Amen. So everyone, thank you so much for the little time we spent together on this Outlook. It returns next week, God willing. I am Sunday Kolawole. Enjoy the rest of the day.